What's going on? My name's Sha. I hope you're having a good day. I am having a fantastic day. Today we are covering RFTools Dimensions by McJty. It is an add-on for RFTools, also by McJty. Before we get started, you will need a dialing device, a matter transmitter, and a matter receiver from RFTools. You will need to provide RF power to your blocks here, and I'm just using creative power cells to do so. In addition to those, you're also going to want, I would highly recommend, a porter of some form, either the regular charge porter or the advanced charge porter. These are like your get out of jail free cards if things go wrong in your new dimension. And to bind them to a receiver at your home base or wherever you'd like to return to, you just shift, right click, and it binds it. So wherever you are in the overworld or in any dimension, you can always just right click and it will return you to your receiver. Before we get started, one thing I would like to note, I will not be covering the actual recipes for each individual block. It would simply take too long for the spotlight. I'm going to assume that you're using JEI or a similar mod that will give you the crafting recipes, such as the RFTools Dimensions manual, which is one of the first things I would create when you're wanting to start learning about the RFTools Dimensions. And it's just some redstone and a book, but as you can see, that's available through JEI. In the RFTools Dimensions manual, it gives you an introduction, the theory, how the worlds are coded, a lot of great features, and you can go ahead and read that on your own. The first two blocks to get started in creating your very first dimension is the dimensional inscriber and the dimensional builder. In addition to these, you will need an empty dimension tab. While you're playing, I would also keep a lookout for the dimlit parcels. These are going to be needed later down the road, and these are found in chests around the world, and they are also found by killing Endermen, and they will drop them at random. So to create your very first dimension, open up your dimensional inscriber. You will want to take your empty dimension tab and put it into the inscriber. You can give it a name. We'll call this one First Dim, because it's going to be our first dimension. So we'll call it First Dim. We're going to click the Store button, and it's going to give us a Realized Dimension tab. We simply take our Realized Dimension tab, and we will place it into one of our dimension builders that we have back here. So we'll place it in here. And now it's powering up the dimension. It's building dimension right now. Now the dimension is built. Now it's actually powering up the realized dimension itself. So as you can see, the current is climbing. And once it hits 400,000, or is it 4 million? Yes, 40 million. So it's going to power up at 40 million. It will be full. And then the builder will start powering up itself. So now we know that the dimension is powered. RFTools Dimensions do require power. If you take the tab out of the builder, it will start using the power. This particular one is costing 320 RF a tick. If we left this out and we went into the dimension and we spent too much time in there and the dimension began to fail, we would die there. So you want to make sure that your builder is powered sufficiently. And you will also want to make sure that it is chunk loaded so that you don't leave and it basically power off, and before you know it, your world collapses. So we have it ready. Let's go ahead and travel there now. So we have our dimension set and ready. We're going to go to one of our dialing devices. We're going to say we would like to dial from our T1 to our first dimension, and we're going to click dial. It says dial OK. So let us go to our very first dimension. So now we have arrived in our very first dimension. One of the first things you're going to want to do so that you can travel back here and so you don't forget later is the matter receivers do require power on this end as well as the other end. So I would go ahead and power it up with whatever means to make sure that it's going to maintain and get power so you don't lose it. Now that we're in our new dimension, let's have a quick look around. So it looks like this dimension is amplified terrain generation. It has some tendrils here of cobblestone. What are these? Yep, chiseled cobblestone. Pretty neat looking world. So you're going to want to explore and you're looking for little buildings, which we'll find some here in a moment. So here's one of the buildings that we're looking for. When we go in, as you can see, we'll go ahead and turn it into survival. These are the items that you're going to be trying to find throughout the world. And there will also be a chest with some items in it for you. So now that you've done some exploring and you've gathered up some of the dimlet parts and possibly some of the dimlets themselves, it's time to move on and create a workbench so you can start constructing your first dimlets and defining your next dimension and what you want. Now, to each dimlet, there are 6 basic components. A lot of them only have 5. So you have the circuits, which there's 0 through 6, and their rarities depends on what you're trying to modify. So modifying something with emeralds or diamonds may have a rarity 6, as to where something like dirt may only require a rarity 0. There are also the energy modules, 3 of them. There are the memory units, 1 through 3. The dimlet base part, which this is one of the items that you're going to need to find in order to get started and actually craft your workbench. So if we look at our workbench, let us go ahead and pick one up. It actually requires a dimlet base part. So this is going to be one of the things you're looking for, either through your exploration in your new RF dimension, or if you have found some of the dimlet parcels and you right click on them, you may end up getting a dimlet base part. Now there's also 15 different types of controllers, and these modify everything from the mobs, the sky, the time, the weather. Many different things can be modified by these controllers. So the last part that's not used in every single dimlet are the absorbers. The absorbers we will get to, but there are basically 6 absorbers from terrain, features, time, material, liquid, and biome. So now that we have one of our dimlet base parts and we've constructed our dimlet workbench, let me go ahead and clear some of this out here. We can start deconstructing dimlets that we have found by placing them in the top left and hitting extract. And it's going to extract all the parts or some of the parts from that dimlet itself. And it's going to put them down here in this bottom piece. Now, if we actually look at the workbench itself, it says infusing bonuses increase chances of getting all parts out of the deconstructed dimlets. So if we use the machine infuser from RFTools, and it just requires some dimensional shards, you put the dimensional shards in, and it will infuse whatever machine you're wanting to work with. In this case, this is the dimlet workbench. So at 100%, you're much more likely to get all the parts out of a deconstructed dimlet than you would if you were working with a uninfused workbench. Before we get started on creating dimlets inside of the workbench, let's go over the absorbers and how they work. So the absorbers are similar to the components. These will be used in creating the new dimlets. The first dimlet is a biome absorber. So when you place it down, it will start collecting from the biome that you are in. So you will need to find biomes that you would like to capture to create a dimension from and place down your biome absorber. As you can see, this one over here is at 100% and it is ready to be used in the dimlet workbench. Next, we have a time absorber, and this one's at 20%. How this works is you have to capture it at the time during the day that you want to capture. So if we would like to capture it at noon, as you can see, it's approaching noon, and we apply a redstone signal to it, and time has to pass, and the sun will move across the sky, and we can turn it off. Now, roughly, this time absorber will collect 10% per day. So it's going to take you 10 days if you get it right every time to capture the time. So if we go into survival and give this a little more time, we'll come back in a moment and make sure that it's it's capturing enough. So we'll move on to the liquids and we'll come back to that one. So here we have a liquid absorber, and we'll just place it over top of the liquid that we wish to capture. Oh, we're in survival. So we'll place it over top of this water, and now this liquid absorber is capturing the liquid. Here's some liquid gold, some molten gold actually. So if we place it over the molten gold, as you can see, it's capturing the molten gold. Now you may have to move the biome absorber around over top of the liquid you're trying to capture, or you can place more liquid directly underneath of it to continue filling it. Next we have the material absorber, and you just place it over top of whatever type of material you would like to use in the Dimlet workbench. In this case, gold ore. Here's some diamond blocks. And again, you may have to move the material absorber around on top of blocks, or you can place more blocks directly underneath of them. Let's see how the time is doing. So we'll go into survival so we can pick it up, because right now it's showing 20%. But if we pick it up and we place it back down, as you can see, we captured 10% from that passage of time in that one Minecraft day. The next two are the features and the terrain. This world was created, this overworld was created with the normal Minecraft terrain generation. So if we place down the terrain absorber, it's going to start capturing normal terrain. There's that 2%. So let us go to the amplified world, the RFTools dimension that we created, and place one down. As you can see, there's a terrain absorber and it's up to 53%. If we place this one down, it's amplified. So over time, it will capture the amplified terrain generation to use in the Dimlet workbench. Over here, we have a feature absorber, and this one does say it's an unknown feature. More than likely, it's going to be the tendrils here that it is capturing. There are different features that you can capture, whether they be orbs, tendrils, caves, things like that. And you'll see more of those features as we work in the Dimlet workbench. So now that we've actually covered the absorbers, let's go ahead and look in the workbench. The top of the list on the right here, it starts out with biomes. These are all the different biomes that you can create. Now you will need to use an absorber in one of the biomes like we did with the plains. So if we bring up the plains and we look and we click on it, we have all the pieces to make the actual Dimlet. But if we wanted to make it ice plains, well, we don't have an absorber with ice plains. So we would have to go find one of those, either through a random RFTools dimension or traveling in the overworld to find one. Now, many of the materials and the pieces, the actual Dimlets themselves, are not necessarily craftable even in the workbench. A lot of them are just loot. So you may have to go out and get them from drops and chests. Enderman may possibly drop them. I know that the Enderman drop the parcels, but I'm not sure about the Dimlets here. Seems like they do though. So the materials make up the majority bulk of what is in this list. So if we look on the right here, our scroll bar, we scroll all the way down. Most of that right there is all materials. From here all the way up so there's a lot of materials. Now if we look at dirt, and apparently there's liquid dirt and it's a rarity 5. It's going to be much more expensive than just regular dirt. Regular dirt is a rarity 0. So the rarity tells you basically what the expense and RF cost is going to be. Dirt's not going to cost much compared to diamonds. So if we look at diamond blocks, rarity 5, diamond ore is also a rarity 5. And diamonds apparently are cheaper. So maybe that's an option. So is another diamond ore. And once we get past all of the different material, we'll come to the structures, the features, and the sky and other things. Many of the sky features are all going to be found in loot chests, again, around the world. Structures, again, is ones you're going to have to find. Now, there are some over here, if we're looking at JEI, there are some dimlets that are listed here, and most of these are the base dimlets. They're the dimlets that they can be crafted just right from the get-go with no workbench, such as the void. So if we look at the void, let me click that again. Can I just go back one? There we go. So there's terrain dimlet void. It can be crafted in just a regular crafting grid. So can a flat world. So terrain dimlet flat is also crafted. As you can notice, pretty much all of these are normal, regular old vanilla mechanics. Terrain dimlet flat again. So we'll get to the digits in 1 second. Just trying to scroll through. So there's like a sky normal. So there's a controller dimlet normal. This would just create the world just like a vanilla Minecraft, does. So up here is a controller dimlet single. So if you applied this with just, say, the dimlet that we used a moment ago with the planes, so we said a single planes, that entire dimension would be nothing but planes. So that's how you get a dimension with only one biome, is using a single controller with a single. Weather dimlet is just the default there. So again, snowballs from redstone and paper. These are all just craftable. So there are some that can be crafted, pretty much the normal mechanics. Now, if we go back over to our workbench and we go down to the bottom, there are some dimlets like no rain, no thunder. Some of these are simply not craftable in the workbench. These, again, you're going to have to find around the world in loot crates and chests and whatnot. So, yep, none of these are craftable. But just to go through some of them, let us scroll back up a little ways here. So after the sky, we have structures, and those consist of dungeons, fortress, igloos, jungle temples, mine shafts, none, ocean monuments, scattered strongholds, swap hut, village, and then the terrain gen, as we saw with the absorber, you can go and actually craft this one. And this one is going to require the absorber. So as you can see, we're missing the absorber. It's not filled in there. But if we have the absorber, we can put it there. Caverns, chaotic, islands, liquid. And as we saw with the liquid, let us turn that off because it's quite noisy. It's Minecraft. It rains. It's just something we have to deal with. So there's some of the things that you can change. Mobs, again, these are things that you're going to have to find in loot crates and chests and whatnot throughout the world. Endermen may also drop many of them. Now, here are the actual digits. The digits are used to vary dimensions that are exactly the same. So if you create a void with the exact same properties and you create two of them, the second dimlet isn't going to be a new dimlet. It's actually going to connect to the original one, because it's just a copy of the first. So to make a new dimension, a void with the exact same properties as the first, you could add in one of the digits or multiple of the digits. So you could say, I want to make this my number 2 dimlet or number 2 void world. So you could just add 2 somewhere within the inscriber. So let me go ahead and set up a basic dimension in the inscriber, and I'll show you how some of that works. So here we have a little bit more complex of a dimension set up. And to basically explain to it, this is what's happening. And let's first turn off the rain. It's Minecraft. It rains. So now then, we got a warning down here right now because it doesn't know what to do with some of this. So we have plains is the biome we're asking for, and we want it to be a single plains, but it needs to know what to apply the plains to. So we need to give it a terrain type. So we're going to say amplified. Think of it like this. When you ask for a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, you're asking for a biscuit, but you want that biscuit to be modified by bacon, egg, and cheese. That's basically how this reads and works. So the terrain type amplified is the biscuit. and we want to modify that biscuit by what we want to do to it. We want it to be planes. Same thing over here with our features. All of these on the side are features, and we're modifying them by what is in front of the feature. So some of these, if we take this out and we look at the warning, it says tendrils only needs one material modifier. So right now, the tendrils, which is here, it's seeing this modifier, and it's also seeing the modifier before it, which is this one. So that's the same thing. I just have it in a different place so it's easier to read. So let us put back in our modifier. So same thing up here with orbs. We're saying orbs are being modified by blocks of diamonds. Huge orbs are being modified by blocks of redstone. Tendrils are being modified by blocks of gold. Liquid orbs are being modified by liquid molten gold. So if we take this out, again, we get a warning. And it says pyramids does not use liquid modifiers. So here's the pyramids. So it's seeing both of these modifiers, and it doesn't know what to do with this liquid one. So we need to put back our liquid orbs. So that's how it works, is you want to have what you have by what you want to be modified by. I know it's a little convoluted, but it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. So down here's another one. Another example is we have lakes. We take the lakes out. It doesn't know what to do with the liquid yellorium from big reactors. And if we look at it, it says there are dangling modifiers in the descriptor. Well, this is what's dangling right here. It doesn't know what to do with this. So if we give it the lakes back, it's like, okay, I know what you want. You want to modify the lakes by this. You want to modify the pyramids by cherry wood. So we should have some cherry wood pyramids. So I just kind of organized it like this so it's easier to read. We also have some basic stuff for the time. The rain is none. So the time is noon. Normal, everything else. Normal sky, normal fog, normal, night, even though there shouldn't be any night. The structures, we put none. So we shouldn't see any villages, any fortresses, or anything like that. And we're asking for it to give us two types of mobs. We're asking for blue slime, and we're asking for wolves. There could be more, but this is the basics of what we're asking for. So let's go ahead and put our tab in here, and we're going to name this crazy, because this should be one crazy world that we're creating, and we're going to store it. So there we go. Now if we look at it, it tells us the time has got one dimlet modifying it. The terrain has one dimlet modifying it. The weather has one dimlet. There's 5 different things describing the sky. There's structure. There's one thing describing the structure, and that's we don't want any. The biome, there's only one, and we only want a plains. The material, we've added different materials and 2 liquids. So there's redstone blocks, gold blocks. I think maybe diamonds I threw in there. For the cherry wood, the liquids are molten gold and liquid yellorium. For features, that's all the different things we added. The orbs, the huge orbs, the lakes, things like that. The controller is just one. It's a single controller. So we're just wanting one single, biome, which will be amplified of the type plains. And we're asking for 2 different types of mobs. This should cost, it says 5,377 a tick. That's, I think, the generation part. So the maintenance cost on this is 70,634. That's per tick. That's what you're going to need to supply it to stay open and working. Is 70,300 or 634. The creation cost is going to cost 213,000. So let us throw it in our builder. And I'm going to use this one on the bottom because it's the one getting the most power. So as you can see, it's slowly working because it's doing a lot. This is a big dimension. There's a lot going on. A lot of power is going to be required. Now with the dimension builder, it can only accept so much power from each face, each side of it. So on this builder right here, this dimension builder, I actually have creative power cells powering it on all but one side. So there's 5 of them all providing it with power. So it takes a lot. So I'm going to wait for it to build up, and it's got to build the dimension here first. And once it's done building the dimension, then it actually has to send power into the dimension to power it. So it's going to be a few minutes while we get this thing ready. So I'm going to go ahead and cut here, and I'll be back once it's ready. Our dimension is powered up and it's ready to go. So let us go ahead and visit our new dimension. So we're going to dial from here to crazy. And let's see how crazy this is. And it might take a moment to load because this is going to be a pretty big world. There we go. So it's a plains, as we asked for, a single biome. We have tendrils of gold. We have pyramids of cherry wood. We have orbs of redstone. It is an amplified terrain generation. And what do we have down here? Oh, this is a molten gold, I believe. Surrounded by, yep, there's our molten. Or that's actually molten yellorium, I believe, not gold. So that's basically how you create, and modify what you want in your dimensions. Well, there you go. Now you know how to modify your RFTools dimensions. You know how to create an RFTools dimension and get started. And half the fun is going to be going out and finding all the things to modify your dimension with, but that's half the fun. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank McJty for all of his hard work in RFTools and RFTool Dimensions. I am so glad that these mods did not get left behind in 1.7 and they were updated to 1.10. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you happen to like this video, please don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to see more content from myself, don't forget to click the subscribe button. I am getting so close to 100 subscribers, at what point I can name my channel, and that is all I'm getting so excited, so yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please come back and see me again. I'm really bad at closing these things out. It's horrible. I don't like to say goodbye. So take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and remember, be kind to the other humans. Bye bye.